Okay, so I'm just making now out of cardboard a little template because I'm not really sure how much space I have in the end. As you can see, this is an easy way of doing it. You just use some tape. Before long you've got a nice block like that, which I've now made into a nice piece of perspex, and that's how much space I've got in the end of this hull, which is slabs. It's really good. So just putting the, I'm just getting a sense now of where the arms are going to be for the hydroplanes. It's probably the best way of doing it. Just getting that so that I know roughly where I think everything's going to go. It's early days right now. Okay, interesting stuff. Coming now to make the hydroplanes. And I've said somewhere, can't remember where, that the problem with the hydroplanes is that they are both an electrical problem and also a mechanical problem. You can see this little picture here, which is basically the boat front on, and you can see that the hydroplanes are on an angle. That automatically means we've got some very interesting and difficult problems to solve. The electrical bit's done. I'm going to use 2 servos to retract and to turn them. That's fine. Let's just talk about it for a minute though. First of all, if this is the hull here, I'm no good at drawing hulls, you'll get used to that. The hydroplanes go off at an angle like that. Now, this is the first problem. If I connect them like this and put a lever on there to turn, what's going to happen? They're going to turn like hands on the outside. They're not going to be rotating around their axis, which means I need to have a different way of doing this, because I need them to rotate around that axis. So what I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to put an arm onto the inside of each of these, and then I'm going to connect that with some brake wire. This is from bicycles, and here it is. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm going to drop everything. This is it here. It comes out of brakes and gears for bikes. Stainless steel. So I'm going to use that, and I'm going to put a lever in it and an arm so that the servo can work that. Now, okay, this is step number 1, not even thinking about how to pull these in. We just got to get this right first. So what I've done is I've used some paper and a few other bits and pieces to make a piece that will fit inside the hull at the precise point where the hydroplanes go out. So what I like doing this. I like thinking about how to do something and then seeing if I can do it. Okay, so now I'm just silver soldering this little brass piece onto the end of the brake wire. That's done. That's the flux. Now I'll just put a tiny touch of solder on there. Now this is the shape that I've drawn. This has been done very nicely, and I've used the actual dimensions of the hull to do this as well, so that I can get a sense of how much space that I have got. And of course what I need to do now is thread that arm on. So as you can see, I've made a few bits and pieces here, so that now that looks pretty good, so that I can then turn it. Now the next thing I'm doing here is just getting a sense of how much space I have in the end of the hull. And there's a lot. I can make that watertight container that's over the end of the piston quite a bit longer if I wish. So I know I've got plenty of space. So I'm pretty happy with that. It means I can really run this however I want in that little space. It's a tricky challenge. Now that, as you can see, I've made a blank outline there on the end of this bench, so that, and that's going to be the structural piece that's going to hold everything in place, because I've now discovered how wonderfully perspex bends when you put some heat on it. It's really terrific stuff, and it's extraordinarily strong. Interesting thing is, with heating perspex, you can put too much heat on one side and it still doesn't move because the heat doesn't go through it very easily. If you touch the other side with the flame, it bends very, very quickly. So you can see here it's a bit flexible, a bit bendy, and what I want to do is cover perfectly, if I can, that outline, because that's the outline that fits inside the hull. And there it is, strong as you like. Now that's going to be the material that's going to hold everything else. So I've put it into the hull. I'm just holding it up with some metal, as you can see, and daubing onto the top of it hot glue. Hot glue is marvelous stuff. I just think, what would we do without it? Needless to say, I'm not going to be holding it in place with hot glue. So we put it together and wait. Now I've taken it off and the hot glue is holding it perfectly. I drill through the hot glue, drill it with a tapping size drill, and now I've just levered the hot glue off and I'm putting taps into this, and I've drilled the top, and as you can see now I'm just screwing into place this piece of perspex, which is, as I've said now, is going to hold all of the mechanism for the hydroplanes. Now that's pretty good, pretty happy with that. And what's more, it fits. Terrific. Now, once again, you can see through it. So I can now see where I'm going to put my brake wire. So this is going to be really quite interesting now. But the initial phase of this is that on either side, this is the angle that I've taken directly from the drawings of these hydroplanes. I'm just scribing a line onto this because I want this to be solid. Now, as you can see, I have screwed onto it that 3mm piece, so that's now 9mm thick in total, and you can see the scribed lines of the axis. So I'm beginning now to put this together properly, and this is the mechanism that's going to I've ground that down just to get the tiny bit of solder in there. I don't need much at all. Now that that's, I've soldered one end, the other end is free, and I'm doing that just to get a sense of how much I need. And I'm going to be shortening it, that's right, so that I get the right length. Now I have to say, this is a difficult exercise to get the length of this right, because I went to all the trouble of making it, building it, putting it in, to discover that it was too short and I had to redo it. Now, as you can see, I've got some wire through the ends of this contraption so that I can line them up, so that I know when I've soldered this up, it's going to be nice and parallel for the hydroplanes. And we just use a touch of solder and the job's done. Now you can also see on there the sleeves that I've put on there, which is going to go into the holes that I'm going to drill in the perspex.